Welcome everybody, it's me Dashma. So happy to be here, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a new moon ceremony and ritual of letting go and calling in whatever it is that's more aligned for you in your life. So we're very excited about that because in the end of the day, we get to create our own reality, and why not create it in a way that serves you in the highest and fulfills your dreams and goals. Think about it. We are born into these human bodies, and we're not really given like a user manual, right? Like, what is the user manual of being a human in a body? It's not provided, although there are certain things that are kind of like told to us, like about eating and whatnot. But for the most part, we're not really taught how to create the life of our dreams, for example. And that's what Flow State Institute's all about. Like, we provide the education about how to live your best life and to do it through a yogic path. Mia Moore is like trapped inside. I don't know if you can hear her, but she's like really wanting out. 1 second, let me get her. She's a little wild today.
Crazy. Little crazy one.
Mia Moore had her babies, by the way. Everybody who didn't see the puppies, I'll show you later. They're getting so big. Oh my God, she is like the mummy of all mommies. She's up all night feeding them. Anyway, yeah, watching her be a mom really makes me appreciate mothers even more. And if you're a mother and you're watching this and you're part of our community, I really want to give you a lot of credit. And I hope that whoever is your partner in life, or hopefully you have a partner, but that they really appreciate you. And that's one of the things that I think that, could be taught as well, how to really appreciate mothers and partners and this whole dynamic of being a human. There's so many aspects, but the topic we're going to talk about today is particularly how to, like, the user manual, how to manifest your dreams and how to navigate this difficult energy, because there's a lot of challenging energy right now in the universe because we have 6 planets in retrograde. So 6 planets in retrograde is a lot. And, so basically we have Mercury in retrograde for another week until October 3rd, I believe, 3rd or 4th. And then we have Jupiter in retrograde. That's actually for another month. We have Pluto in retrograde for a few more months. We have Mars, I believe, and Venus. So we have like all these planets in retrograde. So, and Saturn. So what does it really mean when something's in retrograde? In the universe, it doesn't mean that things actually start going backwards, but because of the orbits of the Earth around the sun, there are certain times of year where certain planets start to look like they're going backwards because we have passed them. Like the way that they are positioned next to us, it looks like they're going backwards. And what that does actually in the psyche of humans is it makes it so that we feel like we are going into a retrospective period of time. So retrospective is when we look to the past, and it's actually can be very beneficial and powerful time if you see it that way. So you're like, okay, this is a time to do a review. Do a review of the past, look at what happened in the past, and heal it if it needs healing, or celebrate it if it needs celebrating, so it could go either way. But basically, one of the things that is so powerful that you can do and that we can do together, if you want, leave a comment if you would like us to do this together. But we can do Sorry, guys. Apparently the internet is also, that's part of that Mercury retrograde, so we can we can assume that things are gonna be weird at this point in life. Sorry about that. Okay, we're back in action. Thank you for sticking with us. Anyway, Mercury retrograde is a funny thing because leave a comment if you've had any example. That was a good example right there, like Madison just said. Any other examples of technology haywire going, like not the way that you had planned and things like that? Because that actually is a big sort of symptom of Mercury retrograde. And for me, in the years past, I had many things happen, whether it was like my phone got wet when I was in Bali and I didn't have a phone for 2 weeks, for example, or and it was always a positive. Like if I looked at it, I was like, wow, what is this teaching me? And so then what I was able to do with that experience, instead of like being a victim of it, which was to see the blessing of it and be like, actually, maybe I needed time away from my phone, right? Or something like that. Or something like what just happened with me was that my internet kicked on to the other internet and it wasn't strong enough. And so it wasn't working. So I had to turn that off and then I came back on. So what that does is it just makes you more what I would call resilient when things go haywire, but you learn to flow with it instead of let it like make you all stressed out or make you kind of like freak out or something. So instead of being like, life is horrible, everything's falling apart, instead you're more like, okay, roll with it. What can I do? Oh, let me do this and this, and then, oh, here we are, we're back. So yeah, life is always teaching us flow, right? And that's one of the things I love so much about Flow State Institute. It's like, okay, especially during portals like this, where we have all these retrogrades, where we have insurmountable opportunities to feel challenged by life, for example, and we're looking at different things and we're like, why? What is the message here? Like, for example, my little puppy Mia Moore, she never usually barks, but ever since she had her puppies, she barks a lot. And it's just like, the one thing I always said was, I don't want a dog that barks a lot. And so it was like so interesting, right? The universe will put right in your face the thing that you're like, you didn't want or whatever. And so I'm sitting here like, what is going on? So just like looking at life from the perspective of, how is this serving me, or what can I learn from this, or what is the blessing in this, or how is this making me stronger or more aligned or more compassionate or more patient or something, right? And also, one of the things that I've been doing that I would highly recommend if you guys are considering is like utilizing this time to really look back on how far you've come, look at the life that you have had up until now, and then using this as a starting point for the creation of the next phase of your life, the next chapter, you could call it whatever you want to call it, the next part of your life. Like, how does that look and feel? And that's what we're going to do in today's ceremony, is really painting the picture. And we did this last week as well, about like, how does it feel? Today we're going to do a little bit more on like, how does it look and feel? Because on the new moon, it's a lot of it's about actually painting the picture and moving into that energy. One second. I have to get her because she keeps barking. I don't know why. Come here. Anyway, it's an interesting thing. I don't know if you guys have ever had a dog, but today was the first time in my life, well, one other time, that I thought, like, I think I'm going to give her away. Like, I never would think that. I started thinking about parents, and I was like, I bet they think that with their kids sometimes. Like, where they're like, how do I get rid of these kids? And it wasn't like a vindictive, like, angry feeling, but it was just like, I can't deal with it. And it's interesting because it's a good example of life, because if life is always giving you experience like this, where it's like challenging you to the core, like to me, I just haven't been able to sleep for like a month. And it's because of the puppies and Mia Moore barking all the time and being up in the middle of the night all the time, every day. So it feels like whatever it must be like to have a baby, honestly, because my little sister just had a baby recently. Her baby is 4 months old. And she hasn't slept for 4 months, and she's up all night all the time. She had a maximum of 4 hours of sleep. But everybody always said lately is like, you look so exhausted. I'm like, I am exhausted. Like, there's nothing I can hide. Like, if I put on eye makeup, it's not gonna make me look more awake. I mean, it might, but I'm just like being more real. She's probably feeling protective. Yeah, sleep is so key. Yeah, sleep is like the key element to health. It really is. Because what happens is during sleep is when your body actually regenerates and heals itself. So if there's any kind of like that your body is doing, like it needs that time of sleep in order to heal and regenerate the cells and everything. So sleep is so pivotal. I don't even know, but like luckily my situation is not permanent because we're not going to have these puppies more than 2 months, and then we're going to be giving them away. So I'm happy with that. I would never have puppies again. Not that they're not wonderful and beautiful and sweet and adorable and they're so cute and it's ridiculous, but I can't sleep with these puppies in my life. So I'm looking forward to 1 more month, letting them have a new home. And so anyway, anybody who's like, why do you look so tired? That's the reason. And for anybody who has children, I'm sure you can understand. So anyway, it's funny about that because also this is a good example. So in my mind and in my heart, I'm like, I do want to have children still. I want to have children, even though I'm getting a little older. I feel like I'm eternally youthful and people are having children in their 40s. So it's no big deal. But it's funny because I'm like, this is the universe giving me an actual example. I get an experience of what it's like. So I can make that decision with absolute clarity of certainty and not like from like a kind of pie in the sky desire. And I think that that's interesting. If you look at your life and you look at the different scenarios that have been given to you, presented to you in different ways, and you're like, okay, well, maybe the universe is providing you this experience, whatever it is, so that you can catch a real glimpse of what this other thing is like. For example, I'm not like super famous or anything, but I've had certain moments in my life where I got to experience what it would be like if I was, right? Where like you have no privacy, you have like paparazzi kind of thing going on, and all the time like people recognizing you and stuff. Like I had an experience of that, so that I think the universe was like, be grateful that you're not like super famous or whatever, because there are pros and cons, but there's a reason why a lot of like really famous people end up with mental health issues, because it's also very difficult. So it's like, be careful. There's an old saying, be careful what you wish for. Because if you don't really know what you're wishing for, like you don't know what your like the actual experience of that thing would be, sometimes the universe will give you an experience of that, like a little glimpse of it, like a sample, so you can make certain that that's what you would want. Because otherwise, put your energy towards something that would bring you to a better feeling place. So that's why when we talk about manifesting your dreams, and that's what we're going to be doing today, that we have this important focus is on how does it feel, right? Like if I was going to look at like, oh, I want to have puppies, or if I want to have children or any of that, like the first thought would not be, oh, it feels like chronic sleep deprivation. That wouldn't probably be in my manifestation ritual, right? But like if you were going to be real about it, that will be a part of it. And then you just like perhaps get used to it, or maybe after they're done nursing you have like a lot of caffeine in your diet. I don't know, or you have a nanny, perhaps, is what I would do. Whatever it is, Abigail, it's pure love. Exactly. So that's the thing. So what happens is the positive chemicals of your body, Abigail says, love overrides sleep. Yeah, that's true. I mean, in the end of the day, instead of throwing them out the window, you love them even more, and you go, I'm choosing this, and I'm so grateful for these little ones, no matter what. So there is that element where your soul kicks in and it teaches you what true, unconditional, just devotion and love is. And that's what I really feel like a lot of like having children is really about, but also relationships in general. But having children is like the next level of that, because they're completely dependent on you, and you can't just take a break from them and leave them on the side of the road for a day or something. You could leave them with a family member or whatever, but like ultimately they are fully, part of your journey until they're old enough to take care of themselves. So yeah, it teaches that kind of also selflessness. And this is one thing that I really think that specifically women have programmed into our life experience a lot more than men, perhaps, is like this selflessness. And selflessness is the feeling of, I put the other before me, right? And so the other, whether it's the children, the spouse, or whatever, the family, the other, the home, everything goes before the individual. And that's what we call selflessness. Now, when I started teaching yoga, I used to have, and I still do have, so many mothers come to my program who are like tired and burned out from just that experience alone. Just the selflessness is exhausting, because actually it's not really a healthy dynamic. You have to have some selfishness. Selfishness is where you put yourself first and you say, okay, I need to fill my cup in order to be of service to the family or to the world or whoever you're trying to be of service to. And so through our teacher training retreats, that's one of the things that we really focus on, like what we're going to be doing in Bali together, is this immersion into self-care. And when I say self-care, that can be everything from your yoga practice, your meditation practice, these other rituals that we do around the new moon, the full moon, ceremony, breath work, getting massages, eating properly, connecting with other like-minded souls, traveling and doing things that fulfill you on a deep soul level. All of those are kind of what I would consider self-care, taking a bath, all of these things. But at the same time, like you got to find that balance, right? Because some people, it's just, they're all self. Their whole life is their self, right? So they're just self. So that's more like considered selfish. But like, we want to strike a really healthy balance where your self-care is in balance to the degree to which you serve, right? And when we talk about serving, it's not just your family, but that's part of it. It can be serving the world through your teaching, through your work, through your contribution. And that's one of the things that I feel as a teacher through Flow State Institute, as a healer, that you will be presented with opportunities to serve. And that's when you'll be challenged on perhaps like how to do that while maintaining your self-care, right? And that's that really healthy, beautiful dance. The dance between taking care of yourself and then serving the world. Leave a comment if you feel that you're drawn to Flow State Institute because you feel drawn to serve the world, contribute to make the world a better place. And perhaps you felt that for a long time. Like, this is a feeling that can come to you when you're young. It can come to you when you're a kid, even, where you're like, I just know that I'm meant to do something for the world. I felt that. When I was a little kid, I used to get visions of myself, like speaking on stages and doing these things and writing books. I always knew, like Madison's saying, she had that same thing. A huge reason why I chose this program. Oh, great. That's so beautiful. Yeah, so whatever level that is for you. So it doesn't have to be, for example, like, I want to reach hundreds of millions of people. Like, it doesn't have to be on that level, but it can. And I want you to know that that's all available, right? That's all available to you. But at the same time, if you just want to help your community, your family, help yourself, even help your friends, or maybe a few million, but maybe not hundreds of million, or whatever it is. Like, leave a comment if you have a little bit of a clear understanding of what level you'd like to serve. I know when I was a young person, I always felt like I'm supposed to serve on a huge level. It just was a feeling that I had. And part of that was also confirmed by the degree of challenges that I faced in this life, because I learned and I felt early on that these challenges were being presented to me in order to cultivate. And this is what we talked about last week too. It's like when they put the like a piece of coal, it goes under pressure for like millions of years and then it becomes a diamond, right? Or we talked about when they take a piece of iron and they put it in the fire, and through alchemy it transforms itself into gold, or whatever different metal turns into different types of metals through fire, through continuous pressure, through struggle, becomes the higher octave of that experience. Katie said, definitely, I've had a feeling forever I'm supposed to do something. I also missed out on having kids, but was gifted with a stepdaughter. So I'm hearing all this. The balance takes work and is teaching me the juggling act. Thank you. Wow, beautiful, Katie. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's so interesting what the universe will provide for you when, like, we always think we know what we need. And I really believe we think we know what is best for us. But truly, the universe, we'll call it the source of life or God, all of this is the same to me. These are just different words for the same energy. The energy that created us has a plan. And this is something that I really believe. Now, leave a comment if you believe this, because some people, they just believe only in we are the creators of our reality. But I believe it's kind of a 50-50 dance. We're the creators, but there is destiny at play. There's destiny at play. You cannot say, oh yeah, I was responsible. I was consciously responsible for every single thing that led me to my destiny. It's not, because part of the destiny journey is tapping into the intuitive guidance that leads you there. And that intuitive guidance is not something that you can create only alone. You know, like it comes to you through messages, and it comes through visions, and it comes through people being presented into your journey, and it comes through all of these different ways. So when we look at life and we say, oh yeah, actually I can see how this led me to this, and this person taught me this, so that then I became this way, and then that led me here, and then it revealed this part of my character, and then that led me to this desire that led me down this path, and then all along the way. So it's like that every step of the way. That's the dance of life, the journey of life. So you get to a point where you're looking at your life and you're like, wow, actually, I can see that I was being guided all along. And that's why in the book Journey to Joyful, which is included in the teacher training, leave a comment if you read Journey to Joyful already. In the book Journey to Joyful is my first book, and I talked about, there's a chapter that I talked about which is called the Bliss Channel. And it's kind of the same concept of like follow your bliss or follow the path of joy, whatever brings you the most joy. In fact, that's what the whole book is about. But the idea that when you tap into the Bliss Channel, what it means is that you are being led and guided by the good feelings and for the bad feelings. For example, because if you are experiencing what we could call bad feelings, like something is uncomfortable, something that it doesn't feel resonant, maybe people that no longer feel in resonance, and you're like, yeah, I'm done with that, and you feel the conviction in you, and you're saying, I deserve better than that, I value myself more than these people are valuing me, whatever it is. And then you take your power back, you cut them off, let's say, and then what that does is it tells the universe, I am ready to elevate to a new level. And sometimes we have to have those experiences, and that's why so often in life we can be like going through transitions of letting go of certain people, and then like opening the door and the room to be full with new people, is because as you elevate yourself, as you make new decisions for who you are, the character of your being, the how you value your own time and what you feel the value is of your time and what kind of people you'd like to be around and the type of reflections you'd like to have in your life, like as you start to see life like that, then it's not so sad when you let people go. It's not like, oh no, like, wow, I can't believe I knew this person for 12 years and now our friendship is ending. Like, I've had that experience, but usually it's only if that person became very toxic. Like, for example, I had this friend for 12 years. And it was interesting because when I look back on our friendship, I can see that it wasn't really a normal friendship. Like, we were both healers, and I knew her from when I started teaching yoga. And we had become friends. But she was a massage person, so I would pay her to give me massages a lot. And so we always had this really interesting friend dynamic because I paid her, but she never paid me for anything. But I would always give her everything for free. Like, I would give her coaching for free. I would help her with her business. I was her friends. I would talk to her about her relationships. I was her coach for free, but when it came to the massages, she didn't give me any massages for free. Anyway, so the point was, it was a very imbalanced dynamic, which I didn't think it was a problem until one day I was like, what would be kind of fun is if she came and taught, because she was also a yoga teacher. She just didn't really have that as her prominent work. She was more in the massage. So I said, let me invite her to teach with me at one of my teacher training retreats. I invited her, and she came, and she didn't show up the first day. She was there at the property, but she didn't show up. And I was like, where were you? And she got very aggressively angry at me, and something that I said to her about her needing to show up triggered her, and she became very violent, and that ended our friendship. But it was like, I won't go into the more details, but like, it was an interesting thing because I realized when that friendship ended that when I looked at it, when I reflected upon it, I looked at it and I was able to see that it wasn't really a healthy dynamic anyway. So that's one thing that I encourage you if you're looking at your life, and if you're in this retrograde portal and you're in the reflective sort of period of your time where you're looking back on everything, your relationship dynamics, even the ones that have already gone out of your life, but just looking at those, maybe like sending love and forgiveness to that person. Like, even since that experience, I still sent her clients, for example. Like, I don't have any bad feelings about her, even though she like was really, really not good. Like, she threw away my beautiful things. Like, she was very, very angry and mean about it because I told her, like, she has to show up. And some people don't want to be told something by a friend, and the end of the day, like, I'm the kind of friend that I'm more like, I will say something if I feel it needs to be said. I'll say it with love, but I will say it. And I think that's what they call tough love, right? Leave a comment if you are a tough love kind of friend, or if you're the type that holds your tongue. Because when you hold your tongue, it actually isn't good, I think, in many regards. Now, it's good in the sense that it generally tends to keep the peace. But if you never speak up for yourself, then you have this like undercurrent of there's peace, but not for yourself. Because if you didn't get to speak up for yourself, you didn't share what was really how you were feeling, then you're just repressing those feelings. Let's see. Abigail says, Valerie says, I feel more comfortable serving small groups, but more open now and curious to see where these teachings are leading me. Oh, beautiful, Valerie. I think Valerie had to go. I just saw her, but maybe she'll be back. Abigail, there's always a path. I believe that a lot boils down to our decisions and actions. I believe there is more than one destiny, and it's whether we're connected enough to allow the messages to come through and guide us. That's a beautiful way to see it, Abigail. And one thing that I will say about the idea of having more than one destiny is, I don't think that there's like one destiny, but what I feel is there's a highest trajectory for your soul evolution in this life. So what does that mean? It means that, let's say your destiny is to be a bearer of wisdom and knowledge. We'll call that a teacher, right? Your destiny is to be a teacher. which is different than, let's say, your destiny is to be an artist, a singer, an actress, a politician, an athlete. There's all these destinies, we could call it, or whatever, where your soul has unique gifts and they are being expressed in a unique way. And usually at some point along the journey, it becomes clear, right? It becomes clear. Like if you're meant to be a singer, you will know. Right? Like if you were meant to be a Serena Williams type of level athlete, you will know. There will not be a like, I'm 30, 40 years old. I'm trying to think, should I go into tennis as a professional? You know what I mean? It's like if you're meant to be on the trajectory of one of those types of world-class athletes, artists, singers, actors, usually it's like at some point or up until like the 30-year-old level. And then at that point you start to really be more clear, like, okay, what brings me joy? What do I want to do? Where do I want my path to go? And like really tapping into that creative guidance to get to that next level. But anyway, so that's what I mean by your destiny is like, first of all, just like the direction, but then the destiny that I believe we all have is the highest trajectory on that path. Right? So you could say we have multiple destinies, which could mean like, well, you're meant to be a mother, you're meant to be a teacher, you're meant to be a lover, you're meant to be all these things, creator, maybe you're going to write a book, maybe you're going to do all these things, but they're all in the same sort of trajectory of destiny, which is, you could call it to be of service, to be a teacher, because through the experience of even being a parent, you're being a teacher. And then through this journey, through Flow State Institute, you're learning to be a teacher of other things and to be a healer. And I believe everybody can be a healer. I really do. And we can all be teachers. But whether or not that's your primary purpose of life, then that's part of the destiny, right? Because someone like, let's say, Mariah Carey, right? She is definitely put here to be a singer and to be an artist. And so although she can teach, that's not her primary purpose. And you can see that in the way that her life unfolded. So anyway, but she can still be a teacher. It doesn't mean that she can't. Same thing with like teacher. You can still be a singer, but you may never be like Mariah Carey level, right? Or something like that. So you just look at your life and you just see like, what aspect of my soul expression is the strongest, and what is getting the most support on the journey as I progress along towards my highest expression and my highest level of service in this life. And then it's like, oh, okay, I'm seeing like, wow, I'm learning this flow state training. I'm feeling that I can be a healer. Like I'm comfortable being a teacher. Hi, Valerie. She's like, I'm back. I'm on a train. Oh, wow. Yeah, I was speaking to your comment. I can go back to it in a minute. Let's see. Madison also said, let's see. I am for sure a tough love friend. And I appreciate when people do the same with me. Authenticity is so important to me. Yeah, exactly. Madison, that's a good way. And to understand yourself is crucial. And also to realize that not everybody appreciates tough love friends. The ones that do are the ones that are lifers. Lifers are like, tell me the truth more than sugarcoat things and lie to me, right? That's a lifelong friend. I want to know the truth. I want you to love me and also not let me flounder, right? That's a good friend. Or like, if I'm out of alignment, let me know so that I can be back in alignment, right? So this is like the friend I like to have. At the same time, you don't want to have a jerk for like someone that's always telling you how you should change, right? Because then that's not in alignment either. You have a nice balance. Like, for example, one thing that you can do as a tough love kind of friend for a friend is like, if your friend is creating their own suffering and it's obvious to you, saying it in a way that they can become aware of that is really, really a beautiful thing to do as a friend. So like if you notice that they have like a cyclical pattern and maybe they're not able to be aware of it, that's something that you can do as a friend pointing those things out in a loving, compassionate way. But the way you say it is everything. So this is one thing that I learned through my coaching background, is what I like to call it is a tough love sandwich. It's like this. It's like, first you say something nice, and then you say the constructive part, and then you say something nice again. So it like puts it into a little bit of a like a sandwich that's easier to digest and take in. So for example, if someone was being like not cool, like whatever their situation, let's just give an example. I have a friend who's dealing with a lot right now. But I'll say, like, for example, she was diagnosed with uterine cancer, and she has breast implants that she's had for 20 years. And everybody that I know that has breast implants for 20 years has been getting them out lately. It's like, it's a big trend, actually. It's called breast explant surgery. Explant is where they take the implants out. And what's happening, what I'm seeing with all of my friends, luckily I never had any desire for implants, so thank God for that. But a lot of girls 20 years ago did that, and they carried around these toxic thing for a long time, and it started to leach toxic chemicals into their bloodstream and cause health problems. So everybody that I know that had them out, within a few months, every health problem that they had cleared up, like immediately. And it was very obvious the correlation between this and this, right? And so my friend that had the uterus cancer diagnosis, she got diagnosed in July, and I was getting a strong message to tell her I think she should get the explant surgery, because I think that that's definitely going to help her heal, because she's doing all these things to heal this cancer. And I was like, the universe is, I mean, I don't know. I can't 100% say, but the intuition that I was getting was that will definitely be necessary as a part of the overall healing. And for me, it's important because it's like, it could be life or death. It's not something that I say, oh, take your implants out because, you know, you're spiritual or something. Like, no, it's literally like what could be life or death. So a good friend will say it, but you don't want to say it in a way that's like, you know, you got this toxic stuff going on, you need to get it out. Like, you got to say it in a loving way. Like what I said was, you know, I have to, I love you. And I really respect all of the things that you're doing to try to heal. But, and that was the loving part. And then the middle part is like, the message I've been getting for you is that, you know, like, just like all my other friends that had health problems, when they got the implants out, they healed like really rapidly. I've been getting a message that you need to do that. You need to get those out. And then following it up with loving compassion again at the end, which is something like, but of course, everything is your choice. And so I honor whatever choice you make. So like that like kind of tough. But it was interesting. Her response was, she's gotten that message for the past 3 years as well, and she's struggling with it. But she's probably going to end up doing it. But it was like an interesting opportunity, because I didn't say anything from July all the way till September. So July, August, September. So like 2 months I didn't say it, but I wanted to say it. But there was this part of me that was like, oh God, like, do I want to be that person that says that? But then I was like, no, it's life or death with a friend. Like, you have to say things. And it's not always like life or death, but sometimes it's emotional life or death. Like if someone's putting themselves through a lot of suffering with a relationship dynamic that's not healthy, for example, and you are aware of it and you see that in them. And this could be not just for a friend, it could be for a client, you know, like think about it. When you're a coach, when you're a healer, that's what I call flow state. You're a coach, you're a healer, you're a teacher, you're a being of light that's here to help heal the world in many ways. And so whether it's with a client, with a student, with a friend, whoever it is, that when you are guided and you'll receive messages, if you're a clear channel, which all the practices that you're learning through this institute is truly to help you to become a clearer channel, whether it's the cleansing or the detox protocols and the total life cleanse, or the breath work and the heart healing, or the self-love and yoga, the slay program, or any of the programs that we have in the overall big picture of Flow State Institute, everything that we do is created to help you to become a clearer channel so that you can download messages from the source of life and be a channel of that, right? And it's very healthy because it's also like when you're a clear channel, your health is in the optimal state. You can't really be a clear channel and be sick, right? So those two things, you have to be in flow in order to download the messages of the universe and to be a channel of that. So that's why it's called Flow State Institute. Like you actually are meant to be in flow. And so as you are in flow, or as you create the lifestyle to be able to stay in flow, you get these messages, and you'll get them not only for yourself, for your family, for your friends, but also for clients and stuff. So that's when you can take this into like a bigger level as a career. You could create your own courses, or you can create coaching or events or retreats or all those things that we talk about in the Master Business Academy that's also included with this. Actually, I think one of you guys the other day was sharing, I think it was Madison. Madison, was it you that was sharing that you've been doing a little bit also of the Master Business Academy, and it's been very helpful in terms of doing those congruently? Because it's an interesting thing. A lot of people, I think, save that for the end, but if you want to, you could do them both at once and start building your website, your brand, your business, your coaching, teaching vision for your life, and doing that while you're learning the techniques and while you're practicing the techniques. And a lot of the different practices and the videos that we have in the teacher training online portion is meditations and stuff. So the meditations is where you'll be focusing on, you know, what you want your life to be like and creating that reality for yourself through your vision. You envision your life and start to live into that reality. And that's another really beautiful thing that you can do during these retrograde portals. So post a comment or feel free to mute yourself if you want to share, but let me know if there's anything that's been coming up for you during this retrograde portal. Also, if you have any questions about the teacher training, now is also a great time to ask anything that you want. And I wanted to also just address what Valerie had said in her comment before she got kicked off in the train. She said, I feel more comfortable serving small groups, but I'm open now and curious to see where these teachings are leading me. So that's a beautiful thing. I just wanted to mention that because a lot of people in the beginning are going to feel more comfortable with small groups. Like what happens is first, usually you're going to feel most comfortable with one person, one-on-one. And then you might start feeling comfortable with a group, maybe a small group, right? A couple people. As you gain confidence, then you realize whether it's one person or a million, the message is coming through. So then you start to be able to envision yourself in a larger setting if you want to. Maybe it never goes to that direction, and that's also okay. None of it is mandatory, and whatever you want is exactly what you should do. Madison said, I also think we come here knowing what we're meant to be. I wanted to be a teacher when I was very young. I knew I was meant to teach. I had no idea how much I would be teaching. I thought I would just be an elementary school teacher or something. I'm so grateful to be a teacher of all things that Creator wants me to teach. Oh, I love that. See, that's exactly, I really agree with that too. By the way, Madison, because I think I mentioned you, my little sister was also a school teacher. And she went to school to be a school teacher. She taught 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, all the like younger grades. And then she just realized she wanted to teach, but in a different capacity. So she ended up getting into Ayurveda, and she was teaching Ayurvedic skincare. And so she applied her teaching to a new topic, and she enjoyed that because she was able to create some unique diversity of her teaching. And so anyway, it's nice to see that you can stay within your destiny, but mix it up a bit. You know, it doesn't have to be the same 3rd graders your whole life. Now, some people, they feel called to be like 3rd grade teacher their whole life. Or, you know, like with us, you could be teaching the flow state methodologies with meditation and things to children through the Children of the Future initiative, for example. So there's so many ways that you can combine the skills that you're guided to learn, that you're passionate about sharing, and then combine those in different ways to serve the world. And it's very exciting when you think of it that way. So there's never like you're stuck in one track. There's always limitless possibilities. And it's just a matter of aligning yourself with the universe enough to be open to allow the highest timeline to align for you. So that's what I think Madison did, because Madison is super young. I think she's 21. I think 21. And it's exciting to see someone so young that knows what they want to do, is already on the trajectory of creating a beautiful offering with that, and then being open and receptive to the universal guidance so that she can even be even more aligned to a timeline that feels really nourishing and resonant for her soul, so she can evolve into the highest expression of her soul's contribution as a teacher. So instead of just third grade, now she's going to be able to apply this in many ways. So she's just one example. I just wanted to point that out because I think it's so cool to see. Same thing with, like, for example, Abigail. Abigail is a mother. She's a healer. So once you start to put it all together and you're like, you start to put the pieces together and you're like, actually, it's interesting they call it connect the dots backwards. When you look back, and that's what we're talking about with this retrograde energy. When you look back over your life and you see, oh, I can see how that led to that, and that led to that, and that led me to where I am today. Wow, I can see, the way that it all unfolds is always, and what I like to consider, it's always in divine and perfect order. So when you know that about the past and you're like, I can see why that all happened. It was a blessing. Even the challenges were blessings. And then when you have enough of that understanding about the past, then it's a lot easier to apply that understanding to the present and to the future and say, well, if that was all in divine and perfect order and it was all happening for me and not to me, and that it was all leading me to a higher octave of my destiny, then I can trust that whatever's happening right now is also doing that. And so I don't have to feel a victim of my life circumstances. Instead, I can say, wow, the universe is testing me now, or the universe is like presenting me with a lot of opportunities for growth. And what I'm able to do is step up my game, we could call it, or step up the way that I respond to life, and to respond from more love, more compassion for myself, for others, more acceptance of whatever is in this moment, and accept that it is exactly what I need for whatever reason, and trust that and be like, wow, okay, so this is what I need in this moment. So I'm just going to surrender to that and be grateful for that and see and find the beauty in it. Find the beauty, find the silver lining all the time. Like I was living on the beach. Most of you guys know that I was living on the beach. And oh my God, there's nothing better than living on the beach, honestly. But I kept getting a message that I needed to not live on the beach and live in a house with a yard, with trees, like with a more of a root energy. And I was like really not wanting to leave the beach. So that was like my ego, which wanted to stay what I had. And then my soul, which was saying, this is what you actually need though. And so, but for that time that I was on the beach, I lived there like 14 months. That was what I needed. So that's why I was there. So it's like, it's always divine. Whatever you are given in the moment and guided in the moment is exactly what is needed. So just trusting that. That's one of the reasons that I always emphasize this energy of trust. Trust the guidance. Trust the universe. Trust that you are exactly where you're meant to be. Let's see, Valerie says, I have a question about the mudras. Is there a document where they are all listed and explained? Yeah, more. That's a good question. Give me 1 second. Yeah, more had to go feed her poor puppy. She was letting me know. Mudras. So I'm trying to think if I have anything that just lists them all. I don't think I have that, but I do in the teacher training manual, in the Flow State teacher training manual, which is, I think it's like 100 and, no, I think it's maybe even over 200 pages. It's a lot. Has a lot of techniques in there, many photos and descriptions of all of that. But I think there is a section that has some about the mudras, but I don't think that there's anywhere where they're all listed. But it is a good point. I could do something with that. And it's funny because you can see how even with hundreds of pages of, of a manual, there's always more that you can add, Same thing with video. I mean, there's hundreds of videos. I do talk about the mudras a lot and I teach them in different videos, but there's not like one video or one course module just of mudras. Although I will say mudras are super interesting. There are certain mudras that we use for various aspects of the practice. Predominantly, it's going to be with kriyas and meditation. Those are the two times that we use mudras the most. I do use them also in asana practice sometimes. I like to have, I don't know, I just think that it's a great energy. What mudras do, for anybody who's like wondering what I'm even talking about, mudras are positions of mostly with the hands. Although I will say my perspective on mudras is that the asanas and the kriyas and all the practices are all mudras that you do with your body. So what they do is they create what we consider like circuitry. So think about it like this. If you've ever seen a battery, like the inner workings of a battery, the reason the battery works is because they have these copper wires or whatever kind of like metal, certain kind of metal wire, and the wires are positioned in a certain way. So like, let's say the wire is like in a C curve like that. And then there's a filament. This is how a light bulb works. Like there's the wire like that. And then there's a filament. So that connects this part to this part. That allows the electricity to circulate properly to create light in a light bulb. So if you've ever seen that, usually the reason that a light bulb will be blown out is because the filament, this thing here, breaks, and then there's no connecting point between the positive and the negative part of that. So then there's no, like the electricity can't flow through it properly, so you don't have the ability to create light. So that's like one example with the light bulb. That also how it works with batteries. That's how it works with electric cars. It's how your house works. Everything is built with this, which is the circuitry. And this part needs to connect to this part in order for the completion of the electric current or the energy to travel along and to create the desired effect, which could be like electricity, a light bulb. But in the human case, it would create energy. So for example, with your hand, if you do like a mudra like this, you can try it with me really quick. So do the mudra like this, and then change it to where it's with the middle finger, and then change it where it's the index, or I mean the ring finger, and then do the pink. Now to go again, but each time that you change it, really tap into the different feeling that you have. Energetically, right? That's a simple example. And you can get more complicated with mudras. Here's an interesting mudra that I really like. It's where you interweave the pinky and the ring finger. So those two are kind of locked in. And then the middle finger and the index, it goes like this. Well, the middle finger goes straight up and pushes against the other middle finger. And then the index also locks, and the thumb. Now the thumbs are touching, the middle fingers are touching, the index fingers are locked, and the pinky and the ring are locked. So it's like that. And then what you do, you can, there's different ways of doing it, but anyway, let's just do it like this. And then you put the thumbs pointing up, the middle finger out, and you put all of this over your heart. And then pull your elbows in opposite directions so that they create a little tension. When you put that right over your heart chakra, you will feel an amplification of the energy of your heart chakra. And what you're doing is you're creating circuitry, you're creating a conduit for the energy to flow from your heart to your arm, to your elbow, to your fingers, outward, and then back inward, and then all the way around. So it's like this huge like battery, right? The circuitry of your heart. So we do this mudra. If you're doing it, you can release. We do that mudra sometimes in this one kriya that we do for your heart chakra. So when you put a mudra, like, and you combine that with a position, like sitting position and a breath and a mantra, this is called a kriya. So the kriya is a combination of techniques all into one. So it makes it more potent. It amplifies the effect. And so we do a lot of kriyas, which is in the tradition of Kundalini yoga. We do a lot of kriyas at the live training. We also have a number of kriyas in the online teacher training as well. And some of them have mudras. So where you'll learn the most mudras is going to be in the kriyas. And I also do some of them in different videos and different practices and in the training manual as well. But there's tons of different mudras. I don't even know. I mean, there might be a book on mudras where you could just learn like hundreds of mudras, but they're good to learn. But like, I think the key is finding the ones that you're going to actually use and practice, and that what you're going to teach, because there's so many different ones. Like I was just showing you, like even just changing the finger is a different mudra, right? And then also usually like what you do with the rest of your hand is a whole nother piece of that. So for example, if you take this finger, the middle finger, and touch the thumb, this is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is you take the thumb and you push down on the fingernail and you push that in. Now that's a different one. So it's like this versus this, right? So it's subtle, but it's a huge energetic shift, right? And this one is a different mudra that we do a lot, where you push down on the middle fingernail, push in, but then the other fingers go straight up. So we do this one. There's a kriya that we do this with, which is called Angsang Wahe Guru. And so you do like this, and you can do it with one finger or two fingers down in the middle. So this is also like a symbol of the 1980s or something, where people be like, rock on, dude. Some of the mudras were actually like became popularized as like cultural symbols, you know, like thumbs up, A-okay. These are all cultural symbols, but at the same time, if you utilize them with yogic practices, then they become energetic conduits for expanded consciousness. Isn't that fun? Anyway, so you can put these fingers like that, and then the fingers go straight up, and then the elbows go by the side, shoulders back. And this one, we have a mantra that we say along with it. It's like Ang Sang Wahe Guru, Ang Sang Wahe Guru, and just saying that over and over. And your eyes are closed, and you focus your awareness at the back of your eye, like the back of the third eye. And what it does, what I love about that mantra, you do it for like 10 minutes. This is a kriya. And it opens your third eye, opens your intuition. And what I tend to see during that practice is you see a lot of visuals. Like it's almost like psychedelic. Like you could see when your eyes are closed and you look in the back of the third eye, you start to see colors, visions, and things like that. Because when you put your single pointed awareness in one direction, especially with the eyes closed or the back of the mind screen, you will start to activate your pineal gland and your third eye. And so that's what a lot of these practices are designed to do, is to awaken that, because the third eye is your intuition. The third eye is your intuitive vision, the ability to see And everybody has the potential of being psychic. Everybody has the potential of being able to see into the invisible realms. And so these practices, the more that you practice, what you're doing is you're refining your gifts in that way, and you're opening yourself to be able to be a greater vessel, a portal of light into this world. And so that's all it really is. Think about it. If you close your eyes and you start to see colors and light in the back of your mind train, then it becomes visions, and it becomes clarity, and it becomes guidance, and then even can become guidance for others. And then you can literally like channel messages. That's what channels do. Like, have you ever heard of somebody who's a psychic or a seer or any of those things? All they're really doing is they're clearing the inner cobwebs to be able to get a clear vision. Madison, mediums. Yeah, there's different words for it. So you can become that. I mean, if you want to. Not everybody is meant to be that, perhaps destiny wise, but you can. And it doesn't have to be like hokey, you know, in the sense like where you have like you're sitting there and you have a crystal ball and you're like looking at a crystal ball. Like, you can literally close your eyes. You have your own crystal ball. It's in your head. It's your vision. It's your inner vision, your intuition, and your guidance. Let's see. It's on my list of passions I feel called towards. I grew up with the spiritualists and mediums. Valerie said, thank you, Dashma. I love mudras. I have a feeling they fit for different energies. Yeah, exactly. That's right. You're welcome. Yeah, it's so beautiful. You know, like that's one of the things I love so much. And that's one of the reasons that I do these lives, is because I'm like, there are so many components to the yoga teacher training, to the flow state training. Like, even just this topic about mudras. I mean, I have mudras throughout the whole program, but like to really gain the deeper understanding of that, like I just explained and shared with you, I think can be very valuable for your path as a teacher. And if you're interested in exploring that deeper and becoming like a master mudra person, that's possible for you as well. Like, you can go down that road. The flow state teacher training isn't going to prepare you to be a master of mudras, because it's just kind of like an introductory. But if you're interested, there are books about mudras from India and stuff that are very detailed and specific. And, you know, maybe one day you'll even create a workshop or write your own book about mudras if you get so passionate about it. So you never know where an inkling of interest is going to lead you. It could lead you to your full-blown passion. I remember in one of our training groups last year, we had, during the lockdown, we had a great group in our yoga teacher training for the flow state online training. And it was such a cool group, because each person had been drawn to a different aspect of the program, and then combining different aspects to create something that they felt really called to do. So, for example, there was one girl, and she's actually an amazing pianist and a music artist, but she was really creative and athletic as well. And she was really called to combine nutrition with chakras and asanas. So she was doing all of her homework, was posting with like yoga pose, wearing a certain colored outfit, with a meal that she had prepared with the same color and energy of the chakra. So let's say it was like root chakra, right? So she'd be wearing red, and then doing like really grounding practices, and or tree pose and things like that. And then the food would be predominantly like the root vegetables and earth color and earth element types of food. So that was really fun to see her getting creative with that. So that's like an example of like a unique way that you can combine the techniques and the information that you learn in this training and create your own unique signature offering that really makes you excited, right? Whereas, who knows, maybe Valerie's going to combine mudras and kriyas and chakras. Who knows? You never know. Whatever it is that you feel called and excited to do, that's what you should do. You guys have any other questions? Let's see, because I can go, I can talk a lot, but I love to be able to answer your questions if you want me to. And it's awesome to see Becca here. I haven't seen you in a while, sister. Becca actually came to our live training in Mexico several years ago, 2018 or 19. I don't remember what year that was. I think it was 18. Yeah, 2018. Pretty sure. No, I don't know. Anyway, and then she was an assistant with me for a super long time and was so amazingly helpful. I love you, Becca. Let's see. Madison said, I love that so much. I feel called towards the chakras and crystals. I'm wearing my crystal chakra necklace I made right now. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, see, exactly. That's a good example because it's funny to say this, but like crystals are a huge part of this path. Even though like I don't teach about crystals in the teacher training much, but like I'm a big crystal lover. And you can actually learn a lot about crystals, and the colors that they have are correlative also to the chakras. So there are books about that show which crystals heal your chakras, right? And things like that. So you can combine that in, like I was just saying about the food and stuff, with the different asanas and even apparel and clothing. And it's really cool to see the different creative ways that you can combine the information. Becca, yes, love, so happy to be here. So much love. Oh, I love you. If you want to, anybody, including you, Becca, though, but if you want to unmute yourself, share anything, love to hear anything you want to share and what you've been up to. I know it's been a very interesting time on Earth with the lockdowns and everything that's been happening. And so I just really want to communicate and express my heart of like how proud I am of all of you, where there's a lot of people in the world that are, let's say, floundering through this difficult time on Earth. And, you know, one thing I was talking to a friend about is like a lot of people are choosing the dark side. Honestly, there's more crime than ever. And there's all this stuff like, look at Putin in Russia. I mean, he is like the ultimate dark side guy. You know, it's interesting because I was talking to my friend and her husband is like, works for the IMF, which is like all the governments in the world. And he was giving me like a real understanding of what's going on with Russia. And it made me really understand, like, because at first I thought it had to do with power of money or, you know, whatever, because he wants to like unite Ukraine and Russia, but they don't want to be united. So it's kind of like saying like, I want to marry this person, but they don't want to marry me, but like I'm gonna force them to, and if they don't, I'm gonna kill them all. Like it's just so irrational and corrupt and dark. And he's just like one huge example on the planet. But there's a number of people that are choosing, I think, crime over consciousness. So, but anyway, the point is like there's a lot of need for healing on the planet right now. And you being here, you taking the time for yourself to learn, to grow, to become a healer, to sharpen your skills as a teacher, to stay diligent and disciplined and loyal on your own spiritual path, I think is so beautiful and should be commended. In the sense, I was just talking to someone yesterday about that, because I think that even a lot of people in the spiritual community, you know, I'll say this, and most people who know me understand what I'm about to say comes from a very pure place, but I think there are a lot of people in the spiritual community that are completely in the dark. You know, they think that they're spiritual because they do yoga, but the way they treat people is dark, you know. And so I think more than like doing yoga or any of this, it's like, how do you treat people and how do you treat yourself? Because that's a much higher consciousness than I do yoga so I can be an asshole. And I have seen so many yogis, like, I mean, a lot of them got busted for like raping their students, the men particularly, but a lot of women are very competitive and very like backstabbing or self-focused narcissists and stuff. And I see where the yoga world is going, and I think it's really off track in many ways. There are certain people that I honor, like I think Sadhguru is doing the right path. I think the people from the Oneness Temple from India are on the right path. There are a few lineages that I work with, that I connect with, that from the Flow State Institute, that we are partners of. These enlightened masters. The Art of Living is another one. They work with us with the children of the future. So there are like these enlightened paths, and then there's like all these other like people that do yoga in the name of Western yoga, which is really an ego-driven path, you know. And I really believe the true path of yoga is not to feed one's own ego, but is to serve the world. And that's how I lived my life, and that's what I want you to hopefully embrace as well, is that being a yoga teacher is not about how you look in your leggings doing like poses on social media or something. It's truly how you show up in your life. It's how you show up with people. It's how you operate your consciousness. And that's what I want you to know moving forward, so that if you ever get like caught up in the craziness of where the world has evolved in the sense of Western yoga traditions that are predominantly ego driven, that you don't have to go down those paths. You know, you can literally stay on the positive energy and you will be very successful, because there is a lot of need for healing. There is a lot of need for true guidance of loving teaching. And that's what I want for you as a teacher of this. And that path is a lot more rewarding and a lot more nourishing for your soul. And you will have a lot of success with that if you stay true to that. Leave a comment if you have any questions. Let me know if you know where I'm coming from with that. Madison said, and numbing too. So many people choosing to numb rather than to grow and connect with themselves. Thank you for the acknowledgement. You too. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point, Madison. Like the numbing, now in modern society, people have become very, you know, it's funny because there's actually a song by what is the band? It's Pink Floyd. The Pink Floyd. This is an old band, but anyway, an old lady. Pink Floyd has a song. It's called "Comfortably Numb," and I think that song was, I mean, it was appropriate for back then, but there's like, it's definitely appropriate for now too. And the lyrics are something like, "I have become comfortably numb," and it goes on and on like that. And I think a lot of people are that way, comfortably numb. Like, think about the day to day. This is one of the reasons I don't really post on social media that much anymore, is because just even social media is like this numbing, right? So you go on there and you're looking at all these things and you get into sort of like a zone with that, and it's like a numbing. Like your brain goes numb and you're just looking at stuff, liking it, whatever. But ultimately, you're not really living in those moments, right? You're just like kind of like numb, doing like a very passive activity. Same thing with like when it comes to drugs and alcohol, you know, people, and even now, I mean, psychedelic medicine has become very popular and I'm a proponent of it for sure. But even that, like if you are constantly numbing, you know, once again, it's just a whole conversation maybe for another day. But the idea that we want to be fully alive, right? And there are going to be times when you're just like in such a deep stress that it's good to unwind with a glass of wine or whatever it is that feels best for you. But when you like drink 3 whiskeys and pass out, that's your soul trying to numb out to not feel, right? And what we really want to do is feel, and we want to feel everything. This is one thing that I learned, is that when you're feeling, let's say like in general, when you're sitting there, your heart feels closed, or you feel a general anxiety all the time, people are living like this. In fact, I think it's like 60 to 80% of people have chronic depression and or anxiety, with which a good percentage of those people are choosing to numb with drugs and alcohol or other activities such as porn or gambling or other things, whatever, gaming, video game addictions, there's lots of different ways. But basically, that they're trying to get away from these feelings, the feeling of feeling dead inside, or the feeling of sadness or fear or anxiety or feeling of not enoughness, whatever all those feelings are. It's your body, your soul speaking to you, right? To say, look at this. You need to look at this. You're feeling dead inside. Look at that. You need to become alive. Not like you're feeling dead inside. Have a drink. It'll make it better for 2 minutes, But a lot of people are struggling with that. So that's like addiction. And so addiction is a huge, huge potential pathway that you can work with people in if you feel called. I've worked with people in addiction. It hasn't been my primary focus. With my career, I would more focus on helping people find their passion and helping people find their purpose and going down that route. But for some people, you got to start where they're at the bottom of the barrel in drowning in alcohol and drug addictions. And if you feel called in that direction, there's a lot of people needing help in there. And there's lots of ways you can do it. You could bring this teaching into the addiction recovery centers. There's lots of those. And you could work with those centers and they would pay you and hire you. I have friends that do that. They teach breath work, yoga, meditation at alcohol and addiction recovery centers. And it's great, because they appreciate it so much, because these things that we teach are really some of the best ways that somebody can truly feel alive again. Sometimes for the first time in many years. And when you give somebody that gift, that is priceless. That's a priceless gift, to go from I feel numb and I want to die to being like, wow, I felt something. I felt my heart. And then usually it leads to emotional release, crying, breakdown of the ego, and a renewal, a rebirth of sorts, where the feeling is there's hope. The feeling is I have people that are going to support me and help me through this. The feeling is slowly and surely regenerative, like interest in life again. And then from interest, it can go up the scale. And so for anybody who's seen any of my videos talking about the emotional tone scale, leave a comment if you have seen any of my videos where I talk about the emotional tone scale. And if you'd like, next week in our live session, I will go over the whole emotional tone scale, which gives you a clear understanding of the different emotions that we experience, and how when we understand where we're at, we can also understand how to get to the higher level, right? So if we're stuck in depression, which is a very low vibration, actually anger is above depression, because anger, at least you're feeling something, right? You're feeling angry, but there's a feeling. Whereas depression, it's more of a numb feeling. It's like no feeling. So going from depression to anger is a step up, right? Which is weird, but it's like, okay, so then get angry, meaning like if there's anger, you got to get it out. And then you can go up from there, from anger to hope. There's hope for the future. There's hope for your life. There's hope for the planet. There's hope for humanity. Like feeling hope for humanity is a very good feeling. And then going towards the next level up, which would be like, let's say forgiveness, forgiveness, like forgiving the people that hurt you, forgiving the life, forgiving the people that have damaged the planet, including yourself and myself, and forgiving like everything. And then the next level up, right? Then we can go towards gratitude, right? And so, but if we're all the way at the bottom, like depression, like numb to everything, to go from numb, which is at the bottom, to gratitude, which is kind of near the top, is a huge leap. And sometimes it's not a leap you can do in an instant or even in one day. And that's the nice thing about these practices. And also with the retreats that we lead, that through a process, through a period of time, whether it's even a week or 10 days, or it could be, if you're working with someone as a client or in group settings, could be over a period of a couple weeks, whatever. But like that, with consistent practice and also with doing the total life cleanse and some other things that help you to let go of the toxic energy, and then do these practices, whether it's the breath work or the kriyas or the mantras or the yoga, the flow, all these things combined. And then you start to see a true shift, and the vibration rises up, and you go from the bottom of the barrel to feeling better, feeling hopeful, feeling optimistic, and then eventually gratitude, and then joy, and then love, and then excitement of life, and then peace, and the wanting to serve. And that's where we want to get people to that higher echelon of joy and love and wanting to serve and being of contribution and giving back. When you're at the bottom of the barrel, you're just taking. You're just a sponge of energy because you have nothing to give. So this is the journey that we help people through the Flow State Institute. And you don't have to work with people at the bottom of the barrel. You can meet people just maybe they're at anger, like at a divorce, or maybe they're like neutrality. They just have kind of no purpose of life, but they're not angry about anything, So there's different levels that you can meet people at, and you get to choose. And then sometimes you don't get to choose. Sometimes life chooses you. So if life chooses you and you're like, okay, I actually thought I would be working with people to show them how to find their dreams, but instead I attracted a lot of people who were going through deep trauma. That's sometimes a blessing, because usually we will attract what we need to heal in ourselves. And then from that, we're healing as we're helping them. So it's a very symbiotic and beautiful dance, this relationship that you have as a teacher with other people as you help them through their challenges. You're healing yourself on many levels, and you're always going to attract exactly what you need, and you can trust that. Let's see, we got some comments here. Madison said, I know so many comfortably numb people, and they're slowly killing their bodies with drugs and alcohol, and it's so sad to see. Absolutely. Becca says, you're so right. Lighting our internal fires again, finding the thrill in our why. Absolutely, Becca. That's such a good way to say it. That's something that I talk about a lot, is like the finding your why, like your why you're going to do your thing. Like, why are you going to be a teacher? Why you want to be a healer? Why you want to help people? Why you're going to get up in the morning and do whatever you're going to do. And when you have a really strong reason, purpose behind it, then it becomes enjoyable, because you're choosing this. Because between all the options in the world, you're choosing this. And you're choosing this because you have a strong reason why you're choosing that. And that is very empowering. And like she said, lighting the internal fire again, finding the thrill of doing it. And so that you get up in the morning, you're like, I'm choosing this. I freaking love this. I wouldn't choose any other thing. This is the best choice for me, right? And when you know that you're on the path that is the best path for you, and you enjoy it and you love it and you're choosing it. Same thing with relationships. You're enjoying it, you're loving it, you're choosing it. Even when it gets hard, even when it's less than ideal for a bit, you can work through those challenges because you know that it's still the best for you, and you're moving in the direction of your destiny. Abigail says, I gave into anxiety this week after an appointment with my son for his heart condition. It started with fear. It amazes me how quickly we tumble down a dark hole and quickly disconnect from our light. That is such a good point, Abigail. I will definitely like to speak to that too, because this is human. One of the things that I have come to peace with is being human. I think it's the most important thing we can ever do. Come to peace with being human, and you will live a far more joyous life. Because then if what Abigail just mentioned, that she got off her bliss train and went into anxiety train, And looking at that, if you were gonna try to hold yourself to an unrealistic standard of perfection, you might beat yourself up about that and be like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened and I'm so weak and I'm terrible, and beat yourself up. That is not what you should do. But I'm saying that could be an approach if you were a perfectionist that was not compassionate of yourself. Instead, you want to be the opposite. You want to be the loving, compassionate friend of yourself, right? So if you fall off the bliss train and you're over there on anxiety train, have compassion for yourself. And also look at the situation. I mean, it's difficult what's going on with your son, and just know that you're doing the best you can. And if you had some reactions that weren't ideal, that weren't full of love and joy and light, that you can look at that and say, the reason I reacted that way is because I care, because I love deeply, and this person, my son, means so much to me, and this is deeply affecting me on an emotional level. So when you can see it that way, then you can love yourself even more and be like, I'm doing the best I can, and ultimately I care so deeply that I do have a little fear, and that's what anxiety is based on, is this fear. I do have fear, but then you can shift it and you can say, okay, now I see the reality of what that was, but let me shift this into a higher octave of trust with the universe, trust that it's all in divine order, trust that this is happening for us and not to us, getting out of a victim energy and into an empowered state of responding to life, and say, okay, what can we do about this? What can I healthfully do about this that will put me into a better state and help make this easier for us all, And one of the things that I always love to encourage as well is self-forgiveness, right? Just forgive yourself. Like if you did something that was like a response that wasn't perfect, start again. Every moment is new and fresh. You can start again at every moment, and that's the key. So, and also looking at life and seeing that your responses to things is usually also an indication of like where you're at with the whole thing. So for example, with your son, you care so deeply for him. You want him to be healthy and you only want the best for him. So in that sense, as you're responding to this like difficult situation, you can see that it's coming from a deep place of love for him. And so just seeing all the truth of it will help, I think, in the end. But the conscious practice is whatever happens, that let me respond. We're all working on this, by the way. Let me respond with absolute acceptance, love, and peace instead of anger and anxiety, right? And so the practices that we have in this program, with the breath work, with the mantras, the affirmations, the meditation, the yogic movement, all the practices that you learn, they're tools that you can utilize in those moments where you go into anxiety, and you use the breath to bring yourself back. And you can use your mind, for example, with an affirmation or with some music, with frequency music, to get yourself into a better place and to a field of trust and to a field of faith and to a field of surrender to what is and acceptance of what is, and trust that the universe is truly in divine and perfect order, and this is happening for you, for your son, for the greater good of all in some way. And a lot of times when it's happening, it does not seem to be apparent why. But then later, when you look back, so often you look back and you can see why, and you can see how perfect it was. Leave a comment if you guys ever had that experience where when you're going through something difficult, you're like, this is not happening for me. And then later looking back, you're like, wow, divine orchestration. And it taught me so much. And I became this powerful soul that I was meant to become. And it was because of that. It was as a result of being that piece of metal in the fire, or the coal in the millions of years of pressure. The difficulty is what makes you a great soul and helps you to grow. And that's why I say, and it can be preparing you for a greater destiny than you're even aware of. So perhaps it's preparing you. One day you're going to be working with children in the future. You're going to be helping millions of children heal from difficult things. And you're going to be like, wow, now I can see why I had to go down that road with my son, for example. That's just an example. Madison, every challenge I have faced, which has been many my whole life. Absolutely. That's how I see it. I mean, ultimately, I've had many challenges continuously. And I see it now. I'm like, okay, now it's nice, because it's not nice in the sense of when it's happening, you're still like, why? But after that initial like WTF kind of vibe, then you're like, okay, what is this teaching me? How am I growing from this? How am I going to choose to show up? And here's the thing, because for those of you who've been in this program for a while, you probably heard me a couple weeks ago in the live. I was talking about having like no more nice person. Like I had been always like, I wanted to be nice, right? I wanted to be the nice girl. I don't know why. I just thought like being nice was a positive thing. And then I learned over time that actually being nice is not necessarily the best thing. In fact, a lot of people take advantage of nice people. And when you're nice, you get walked all over. And people just see you as weak for whatever reason, many times. Now, I think the word kindness and nice are not the same. So you can be kind and not nice. Kind and strong, kind and firm, kind and take your power back. But nice is where you want to please everybody. That's a people pleaser. It's like, oh, I don't want to step on any toes. And that's no longer the case in my life. I decided after getting walked all over a lot from being too nice, I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to be kind and strong. And I call it tough love. And I call it taking my power back and reclaiming like my power and my value of life. And it's been an interesting journey, right? So if you ever have that experience where you're like, wow, my kindness or my niceness got me in taken advantage of a lot. So now when somebody comes to me and tries to take advantage of me, I immediately am like, no, that's not happening. And the way that I respond is differently. Doesn't mean that I'm not still a good person. It's just I'm not letting people walk all over me anymore. And as a result of that, I feel that it's actually been very beneficial in a number of ways, although it's ended certain friendships that were taking advantage of me, but that it's allowed space for the better alignments to come in, and the ones that are more like mutually loving and respectful, the ones that are gonna be for the long term, perhaps, that are maybe they've been a long term, and that I'm only allowing the ones that are just based on absolute mutual love and respect. Whereas before I was like nice to everyone. Now I'm like, no, I'm not going to be that person. So anyway, these are all choices that you can make as you're on the evolutionary path of looking at life and seeing how your actions are creating the reality that you have. Then you get to choose. Am I going to keep showing up this one way, or are there certain changes that are fundamental in the character of who I am showing up as, the identity of who I am? Do I identify as a nice person? And when I decided to stop identifying as a nice person and still be identified as a kind person, but to be no longer the nice girl and instead the strong one, the powerful one, the one that doesn't get fucked with. I like that identity better for myself. And I invite you to do the same for yourself as you look at your life and you're like, okay, what areas maybe are outdated paradigms that are not serving me and they're not going to be carried forth to the future. And when we're in these retrograde portals, you can really decide those things for yourself and make those important decisions, even if it's not easy, because you know what's not easy about it is it's easy to be in the comfort zone. It's easy to stay the same that you were. And instead, I welcome you to grow. And in the growth, you get out of the comfort zone. So that's the difficult, challenging part. But when you get out of the comfort zone and you get into the new self, the stronger self, the more empowered self, the one that doesn't take, get treated poorly or whatever, like doesn't get taken advantage of, the self that is in the next level for you is available all the time, waiting all the time. And the journey that we go through to get there is reclaiming your power, letting go of the old identity. And part of the process of the meditations that we do and that you can do in this training is just seeing and feeling the new version of yourself, that higher octave, more aligned, more powerful, more empowered self that's living your dreams fully, that's responding to life in the best possible way, and that's truly living an empowered, aligned, beautiful life. And that's what I want for you. That's what I want for everyone in our community and the whole world. And that's what the Flow State Institute is all about. So excited for those of you who are going to be with us in Bali. We've been getting some amazing people joining, and anybody who's here who didn't already enroll, we'd love to have you with us in Bali. It's just 10 days in January. Actually, some of the group is going to be staying longer, which is really exciting. And I'm going to be offering some exciting and really cool options for people who are going to stay longer, who would like to explore the magical island of the gods. It is truly a divine journey and adventure, and it's life-changing because it's not just a vacation where you walk around and go to tourist locations. It's literally like an immersion into a spiritual, like, transformation of your soul, because the people there are so deeply spiritual that just being around that starts to influence who you are, and doesn't change you in any way that's not positive, but the positives are just so beautiful. So this is our 11th year, and this year I'm super excited because I'm going to be training the leaders. So we have about 10 different leaders that are going to be coming, who have graduated from our training in the past and that are training to be leaders with us to potentially lead these trainings in the future, lead these retreats. I did it for 11 years. It's remarkable. It's life-changing. It's definitely not what I'm going to do for the next 11 years because I have so many things I have going on. That's why I decided I want to train other people to do it, because it's so life-changing. I mean, everybody should have the opportunity to lead retreats, around the world in the most beautiful locations for a living if you want to. And so as a part of Flow State Institute, that is an opportunity that we have available for the leaders, and we'll be training you in Bali in January. So excited to see you there. Let me know if you have any other questions. Otherwise, we're going to be complete for today. Let's see. We got Katie. I love that. Interestingly, it's very timely. Oh, good. Madison, I'm so excited. Katie, I cannot wait. I know, I'm so excited as well for you all to be there and to meet you in person. Share the day today. Amazing energy. And also, by the way, for anybody who's thinking you'd like to film, like to do your own online course or anything, that's also an opportunity that I can help organize. I have some really good film people in Bali. They will film really professional videos for you for an affordable price. So you can create your own online course or like do a whole photo shoot for your new website or whatever it is that you're working on. Utilize these opportunities as like also media acquisition is what I could call it. Like, where you're going to be creating media and take your career to the next level as well as part of this retreat. And if you have any friends that might like to join us, you can also earn 10% from the commission from any referrals and have your friends with us, which is super fun and exciting. So consider that and let them know. And if they apply, and tell them that they should mention your name, and they can also put that on the application. And then we will credit you for that, for the referral. Because that's one of the things also about the Flow State Institute that I always wanted to create, that we have created now, which is a unique opportunity to be able to compensate and provide abundance, financial abundance, to our tribe to be able to help you to generate income passively just by referring people to our trainings, our retreats, our programs and stuff. And that's such a unique and really cool opportunity that you get from day one, even before you graduate, that you could start earning thousands of dollars even per month if you were good at referring people. And leave a comment if you'd like to have more training around how to be an affiliate, because it could be, I know people who are literally like full-time affiliates and they make thousands of dollars a month just from doing that. So that's potential that you could create as an income stream just by getting people into a deeper path of yoga and healing and not even having to teach them. Or you could teach them and you could refer them to our training and make money both sides. So anyway, I always think that financial abundance is super important because it definitely is the fundamental. It's like the root chakra, right? If you don't have that stable, the rest of life is kind of difficult. So you want to really nourish the root chakra energy. That's the home, community, family, and your financial stability, right? And that can be the foundation that you can build the rest of your beautiful career you're offering based upon that. Because with that financial stability and income, then you can have pay people to create your website, pay people to create courses for you or with you, and start to take your offering to that next level. And that's one of the things I highly encourage. A lot of times you do need to invest in order to grow. And I know people who they're like, I don't even believe in credit cards. I'm the opposite. I have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into my education, into my business, into learning and growing and networking. And as a result of that, I was able to create millions of dollars of revenue from the path that I chose and from the media that I created and things like that. So I do encourage people to, leverage, let's say, credit cards and things like that when you need to or when it's appropriate, so that you can grow. Because if you're always just waiting for the money to be there in order to grow, then the growth is much slower. I know people who have that, like my friend who doesn't believe in credit cards, but then she wanted to borrow money from me the other day. And I was like, you don't believe in credit cards, but you want me to loan you money. It's basically the same, except she doesn't want to pay me interest, which is fine. I didn't want to charge her interest, but it was still the mentality, which is not right. It's like you should be willing to level up. And there are different ways of doing that. So if you guys want, I'm happy to share more about the business side of things as well next week in our session. I'm going to be going over the emotional tone scale next week as well. And meanwhile, I'll be seeing you in the app. Let's see. Madison said, self-investment to pay forward. And so empowering to break free of poverty mentality, which is so ingrained into so many people and families. Exactly. Well said, Madison. And this is something, if you feel called to, you could even build your whole platform around that. Abundance meditations to overcome poverty mentality. There's a huge demand for that. And if you focused on it, you would become very successful, not only for your own self, but for helping others. So it's like win, win, win. There's so many beautiful ways to serve. Abigail said, I'm so happy to be back in this energy and on a similar time zone. Yeah, we're so happy to have you back too, Abigail. And I know it was a journey for you to move to America. I'm so proud of you. So happy for you. Welcome, American lady. And hope you enjoy it here. Hopefully I look forward to meeting you in person soon. And I feel like, Abigail, you would get along really well with Becca, actually. So Becca actually has her son recently graduated high school. So I think he's now officially an adult. But anyway, she's a wonderful mother, beautiful, beautiful soul. And recently, I think, moved to Texas or something too. Or was it New Mexico? I'm not sure. But anyway, you guys should connect. Becca and Abigail.
Yes, New Mexico.
Hey, that's so cool. How are you liking it?
It's good. It's very interesting. I transferred out here with my job, so I'm staying busy with that. But I asked you to see the video.
I asked you to do the video if you wanted to. You don't have to. But...
Oh.
Hey. Let's see if you're gonna come on.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah.
Okay, there you are. Yeah, so I recently moved to New Mexico and it's very interesting out here, like what you were talking about earlier. This place has one of the highest crime rates in the country right now. So it's a lot of, I mean, you can just see it in people's eyes. A lot of people are very numb to just what's been going on for so long. So that's pretty much what I've been looking at lately and
Experiencing in
staying.
your new house.
Yeah, absolutely. But
What do you
gosh,
feel? Do you
probably
feel inspired? Do you feel inspired about that? Like in the sense of that you feel you can help them or some people in that regard?
I do, because you know what? When you show people love and kindness with no like motive, like other than just pure, genuine intention, like you see some people look at you like they're surprised, like, wait, what? Like, why are you being like kind to me? You know what I mean? Like I can't do anything for you. And you just see that, wow, like this is what people need. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, just the pure genuine love. I mean, and like you say too, you got it, you can't just go around being nice because people will take advantage of you, so you have to be aware. But at the same time, that pure genuine like energy and intention, it's so needed everywhere, and especially here in Albuquerque.
I I can't believe you moved to Albuquerque. Like you were in Florida for so long, but life will always put you exactly where you need to be, and I do believe that. So for whatever reason, you're over there. And Abigail, I think, is in Oklahoma or something. So you never know. Maybe you're
Oh,
supposed to meet
wow.
up.
No,
And
I'm in Houston, Texas.
oh, you're in Houston. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah. You moved to a different spot.
Yeah.
That's even better.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But
Yeah, I'm right
Abigail
up here
came
in
from France,
Albuquerque.
right?
I moved from France, yeah, but I'm English, obviously. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, 15 years in
That's so
France, and
cool.
moving to Houston is a huge change. Really, really big change.
Huge. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I think it's, not to say you got to get out of there, but it's nice because you're not that far if you would take a road trip and you can go, and there's Utah and there's beautiful places that you can, Sedona, that are very, very magical, very not too far to do little road trips from where you are. So that's kind of nice as well. You got to get out of the little area and you'll start to see America is really, really amazing. And there's a lot of really cool things to check out in that area. Madison
Yeah.
said, "Thank you for sharing that, Becca. Sounds like you're in an important place to make a difference and spread this unconditional love and kindness. I want to do a Four Corners road trip probably in the spring." You guys are so cute. Yeah, you guys, road trips are super healthy for you, consciousness, because it gives you a lot of space to think and get clear. And that's one thing I love about traveling so much. But I always encourage all of you guys, anybody who feels connected, to be friends, to go on a trip together or come to Bali and then travel together after, whatever it is. But, it's like such a great thing to feel that there are other people in the world like you, and that there are other people in the world that are on the same path, and that they're fun, and that they're like their soul family, and you want to, the more that you feel that, and that's one thing that one of my goals of this community is that you would feel that, you will connect with that, and that you will let that support be like a foundation of your path, because that makes all the difference. Like a lot of people feel very alone when they're, we'll call it, on a spiritual path, or they feel confused because the other people that you see online on spiritual paths or whatever, like, don't seem the same or whatever. Like maybe, like I was talking about earlier with like the spiritual ego, or the movement towards just like it being about the leggings or whatever, that whole thing, and all the stuff that doesn't resonate. And so when you find people that are on the same true path as you, and they love you and they care about you and they support you, and they, connect to each other and really like cultivate these friendships. That's what I want to encourage. You can do that in the app. You can do that in the WhatsApp groups that we have. You can do that in these live sessions. We do have the Facebook group. I don't do so much with the Facebook group because during the lockdown, a lot of people were like, we don't want to be on Facebook. So I just moved completely away from there. But you can do that in the app. You can be friends in there. You can message each other directly. And yeah, anyway, just want to encourage that because it's such a beautiful part of our community that I really like to emphasize is to really take the friendship connections to another level if you feel called, because that's what it's here for. And then even long after you graduate, you can stay friends. And I know people who met 10 years ago in Bali and they stayed friends and they ended up meeting up all over the world and being friends and working together and different things. And that's what I encourage. I wish I had that when I started out, you know, and that's why I wanted to create that for our community and to provide that for you if I can. So hopefully you take advantage of that. And hopefully you're having a good new moon. I'm going to have to get off now. My battery is getting ready to die. So I love you all and meditate, write in your journal. You can also go back on some of the replays of our new moon ceremonies in the past if you want to do a full ceremony with that. Write in the journal, get clear what you're letting go of, what you're calling in, and aligning with the vibration of that. Open yourself up to that and truly just know, and our affirmation as we have is, I'm so happy and grateful it all worked out beyond my wildest dreams. And even when it's difficult, keep reminding yourself that and keep allowing that energy to be the predominant vibration in your reality. And you'll start to see things, I think, unfold more miraculously than ever before. I love you so much. Love you, Becca. Definitely stay connected. Come back next week. You're welcome, my love. I love you. Katie, wonderful. Thank you, Dash. I'm delighted I managed to get the right time this week. Yeah, I'm so happy that you're here, Katie, and we welcome you with open arms. And stay connected. I love you all. Many blessings. Namaste.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.